Welcome back. Thanks for checking out another amazing episode of the Movie Spreadsheet. Now, this is going to be sort of the norm. We're going to call it the Movie Spreadsheet, where I just review a movie. But don't forget to check out my verse movie spreadsheet, where myself and Eric, we look at movies, we compare two movies to each other, rate them, rank them, talk about some other things that are going on in the movie world or just fun categories. And then I also have the playlist or list episodes, which are going to be with my wife. So check those both out. They're both amazing. They're both a little bit different than these movie reviews. Enough plugs. Let's talk about movie number 372 on my list, which is going to be Night Always Comes. And obviously it doesn't mean that this movie ranks at 372 because it is not the worst movie on my list. That spot is reserved for Requiem, which maybe I'll put up a little image right here. But why would I choose to watch this movie? Why did I almost recommend this movie as my pick of the week for Eric to check out? Well, it's on Netflix, which means it's easily accessible. And then two, it's Vanessa Kirby. A lot of buzz around her name right now. And I really thought she was awesome as Josephine in the Napoleon movie. So I'm excited to see what she does in this kind of grittier, darker role. So before I get into the review, which will not be spoiler free, there will be spoilers in it. Check out this sweet graphic on the bottom. Again, we see our two gatekeeper movies at a 4.95 Beowulf. That's what Night Always Comes needs to beat to get ahead of Beowulf, to be in that middle third. To be above average needs to be higher than a 6.004, which is John Carter holding that spot for what seems like eternity. And then finally, to be in the top third, which is where every movie wants to go. These producers, these directors are like, what can we do to make movies that get us into the top third of the movie spreadsheet? To do that, it needs to be higher than a 7.55, and it needs to beat significant others. So let's run a credit on the screen right now. It says like spoiler or a warning, not a credit. And let's get right into our review for Night Always Comes. Before I give you the overall scores for this movie, I really want to talk about four big things that stood out to me. The first being the fact that this movie felt like three different movies. Really, part one, which I felt like it was phenomenal. I love part one. I think it was such a good movie. It really put me in her shoes, and it really made me think about, like, what would I do if I had to get $25,000 in essentially just a night to save my family's house? Otherwise, we're homeless. And it caused a little bit of anxiety for me. And I really liked the way that I felt during that first 40 minutes of this movie. I really like where the movie was heading, and I felt like it was really realistic and really relatable. Part two of the movie, I'm going to call this the jumping the shark moment. See what I did there? If you follow around and watch these videos, you see how I worked that one in. The jumping the shark moment for me was when she stole the safe. It just seemed like it was not out of character, although it did seem maybe a skosh like it was out of character. It's just from that point on, there was really no coming back from that moment. I don't mind her going to the place to call in her debts. I don't mind her, some of the other stuff that she had to do for the money. It all felt within character. It all felt realistic. It just, from this moment she stole that safe, the movie deteriorates, and then the safe leads her obviously to Tommy, and then the movie takes another turn in really that third act. It was just three really different movies, or at least two, and I really liked the first part. I just didn't care too much about the other two acts. It's score time. So let's talk about an entertainment score of 7. I am so into this movie early. I am hooked, and I did not expect to find myself as attached to this main character as I do, as early into the movie as I do. Phenomenal job. I know I use phenomenal a lot. Awesome job early on connecting your audience to this. And I love how the movie opened with times are tough, prices are going up, salaries are staying low. It really connected me to Lynette. Achievement of goal 3, because they sever that connection when she steals the safe. We'll consider stealing the safe to be jumping the shark, because that is it. That is no longer, can I understand what Lynette's doing? I no longer think it's realistic. She runs over Cody. It was, what is happening? This is a lot that is really stemming from a really beautiful first part that is setting up what could be a really demoralizing movie, and something that a lot of people can probably relate to. And then you have Act 3, which I would say even fewer people could relate to, and it further separates that connection from me to the main character. So achievement and goal score here, a 3. Ending also a 3. And that phone call that she gets from the person trying to sell her the house, I guess the landlord, whatever, and him basically saying like, we're not going to sell the house. I'm going to go with the higher bidder. Imagine had we kept act one, that same style, and the things that she does are within the realm of possibility. And then she is able to somehow scrounge up $25,000. And then she lays in bed and gets that phone call. And you're just like, no, that would be an awesome ending. It would be something special. But it just, that phone call ends up being like a drop in the bucket of what could have been something really special. Length, 8.5 out of 10. One more thing I want to talk about this movie, because the final scene that they show is her driving north on I-5 from Portland, which, you know, I-5 north from Portland is heading to Seattle and heading into Washington, right? Kind of showing like, hey, maybe Washington is this like redeemer of her story. Now, let me tell you something, okay? People from the Northwest, people from Portland, they're always going to talk about Washington, and they're going to talk about how there's like this hatred of Washington towards Oregon, and people from Seattle think about Portland all the time. As a Washingtonian, let me tell you, people from Washington do not think about Oregon at all. Mic drop. Closing thoughts about this movie. I really like the first part, and I wish that they had stayed true to that story versus it turning into something completely different. But that first part, I think, really showed, and really the movie showed Vanessa Kirby's acting chops. I thought she was great in it. Overall score for this movie ends up being a 5.275, making it number 233 on the movie spreadsheet. So it's going to fall below average. It doesn't go into that bottom third. I think this is a good spot for it. And I know I say this a lot, but I really think there was something there with this movie, especially from what we saw in that first 45 minutes. All right, that's all I got for you. Maybe a couple movie recommendations. If we're talking about like the struggle and of like survival and people like depending on you, let's go Pursuit of Happiness. If we're talking about the struggle of survival and people depending on you, historically, let's go Out of Darkness. Let's recommend a horror movie from the like early human civilizations. Okay, not being serious there, but also check it out. I think it's pretty solid, and I have a movie review for it. Boom. If we want to talk about a movie about like mom and daughter trauma or conflict, let's talk about Echo Valley, which is Sydney Sweeney, so buzzword there, and I have a movie review for it. Boom. Let's add one more. I think it's called Home is Where the Heart Is, right? I think it's Natalie Portman, or Home is Where the Heart Is, or Where the Heart Is, or something like that. That's going to deal with like, again, like difficult upbringing, and then potentially trying to like overcome it. So a couple of movie suggestions for you there. Thanks for watching. Remember, like, subscribe, comment, share. Have you seen this movie? Where does it rank on your list? And then finally, give me some suggestions for movies you want me to see. All right, catch you in the next one.